Remember what I told you is the biggest killer of businesses. It's not lack of capital. It's not no sales. It's not quarrels between the owners of the business. It's not government shutting you down. The biggest killer of business is what? Assumptions and bad decisions. There's an assumption here that the moment you package your product well, people are going to buy it. It is not a fact. My brothers and sisters here, this is not a fact. It is an assumption that if I package my product well, people will buy. Remember what I told you? Some things have been said so much by many people that we now accept them as true, as facts. Meanwhile, they are what? Assumptions. They are not true and they are not lies. They are not true, they are not truth, they are not lies. They are assumptions. And that's because that you package the product doesn't mean that, you know, I couldn't afford your product before, but now you've packaged it and then all of a sudden I can afford it. That doesn't make any sense. So packaging will not make me buy. But to a certain kind of customer, packaging is important. To a certain kind of person, packaging is important. So the question is, are you selling to that kind of person for whom packaging is important? Don't forget, there are different kinds of people. There are different kinds of customers. There are bargain conscious customers. I hope I get time to talk about this. There are bargain conscious customers who don't care about the packaging. They care about the content. So you hear people say, is it now packaging I go chop? What it means in proper English is, am I paying for packaging? I'm paying for the product. Give me the product. I don't care about packaging. There are customers like that. If you are selling to that kind of customer, no matter how well you package, they will not see the value because they are not driven by packaging. They are driven by content. There are people who are driven by brand, how something is presented, the presentation of the thing, how it looks, how it feels. To those people, packaging, for them, packaging is more important than the content. And I'm sure some of you here know those kinds of customers. To those people, packaging is more important than the content. To give you one example, I used to have a client who was very successful in real estate. And when he goes to sell real estate, he doesn't care about his dressing. He doesn't care about... I will always fight with him about how he dresses. Sometimes he just wears flip-flops, the one we call bedroom slippers. He may just wear like shorts and any kind of shirt. And he may not even have had his bath. And he goes in and he signs a deal of 50, 100 million naira. I used to be surprised, you know. Why are you? Because I come from a corporate background, and the way we are trained is that your presentation matters. So I was quite shocked that somebody who doesn't care about his presentation is able to make so much money. And that's because his customers don't care about how he looks. His customers care that they trust him. They know he can bring them valuable deals, and they've never regretted doing business with him. So whenever he shows up, even if his mouth is smelling, they still do business with him. Even if he doesn't dress well, they still do business with him. Those customers don't care about the packaging. They care about the content, the deal. On the other side, I've seen people who will not touch you if you are not properly dressed. If you don't look corporate, if you don't wear a suit and a tie, or you don't wear something, those ones are more focused on the packaging side. So the question here really is not about packaging. Sharon, the question you asked, the question is really about who are you selling to? Who are you selling to? Before you spend all this money in branding and packaging, the question you should have asked is, who am I selling to? Who do I want to sell to? If the person I'm selling to doesn't care about packaging, why are we investing in packaging when the customer, you know, there's only one king, right? The king that pays our bills, the customer. If the customer doesn't give a damn about packaging, why are we bothered about packaging? If the customer doesn't care about an office, why are we paying rent for an office? If the customer doesn't care that I show up in a company car that has branding and labeling, why are we buying a company car? If the customer doesn't care about a website or an app, why are we spending all this money paying developers to build an app and a website? So it's not, all these things are based on assumptions. You're assuming you know what your customers want. But if you know who you want to sell to, then you work from the answer back to the question. So the case here now, I know you've already spent a lot of money on the packaging and things like that. So I don't want to beat you up too much on that decision. In fact, I don't think so far it may be, you may be able to salvage the situation. And here's what I think. If you were comparing yourself to because in your question, there's a word that caught my attention. At the moment I saw it, I cringed. You said, compared to the people who hawk, okay, how can I stand out from the people who hawk around? Hawkers, the people who hawk. That is not your competition. The people they sell to are totally different from the kinds of people that will buy your product. The people who buy hawked items are not buying it for the packaging. They are buying it because they know they will get a good deal. They know it will be cheap on the streets. That's why they buy. The people that buy from there are people who buy from supermarkets. They will never buy from hawkers. They buy from a supermarket because they want traceability. If I buy from a hawker and something happens to me, I cannot trace the hawker. But if I buy from a supermarket, I know where the supermarket is. I can trace it. They buy from the supermarket because they trust that a supermarket will not stock a product that maybe doesn't have a NAFDAC number or that will be injurious to people. They buy from a supermarket for convenience, for safety reasons, for sanitary standards. So your market, never compare yourself to hawkers. You are not in the same league. I know you may assume that, but many people eat akara and pap, right? Yes, I agree. But all of them don't buy akara and pap the same way.